Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
Good Saturday afternoon out there, everyone. Welcome into your number one source for Native American television news, Native News Today. I am your host, Jason Salzman, here in the Muskogee Media Studios as we are prepared for a fantastic episode today. We've got lots of things happening here at the Muskogee Creek Nation in and around Indian Country. Big news out of Tulsa this past week. We've got Native American Day coming up there as they made a big announcement. We'll talk to the mayor, G.T. Bynum. Also some great topical things that we're going to be discussing as well. We've got an exclusive interview with Jeremiah Hobiah, recently at the center of a case involving his citizenship with Creek Nation. So all that and lots more. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this first break. Muskogee Media has created an online survey to get feedback from you about our coverage and operations. Participants will be entered to win artwork from Muskogee Creek artist Dana Tiger. At the beginning, you will be asked for your name, phone number, and email. The survey consists of 18 questions that are either multiple choice or in a yes or no format. Visit www.muscogeemedia.com to participate before November 30th, and winners will be announced December 1st. And welcome back to the program as we get started this week. And our first story, our first interview is with Jeremiah Hobiah. And if you've been following the program or MuskogeeMedia.com for the last several weeks, you definitely know that name. This is a gentleman that is the town king of the Kealigi tribal town, and he was involved in a case brought forth by the Attorney General's Office of the Muskogee Creek Nation against the Citizenship Board and the Election Board, seeking to revoke Mr. Hobiah's citizenship in the Muskogee Creek Nation because he held an office with the Kealigi tribal town. Now, the Kealigi tribal town, as everyone knows, involved with the casino project in Broken Arrow that the Muskogee Creek Nation had objections to. So this all became a big case, something that we watched, and now after the election is over, Mr. Hobiah has lost his bid for the seat. We then had him for an exclusive interview.
Well, I was shocked. I really didn't know how to take it. When I first, I guess I was being, looked for about a light horse. I didn't understand why. So I got hold of Rufus Scott, which is the National Council. That's what was going on. He didn't know. I sat down and talked with him, and we kind of went, what could it be? And, first thing that came up was, the casino up there in Broken Arrow. But, we didn't talk much about that. So I asked him to call the light horse and tell him I'm home, come by and So they came by and served me with them papers, and it was mainly the election and the citizenship, but it also had my name on there. And, you know, I had to contact the lawyer, see what it was about, and they said they're trying to disenroll you, and off what, you know, the grounds was just basically because I'm Kelechi. And, you know, as Miko is Kelechi too as well. And they just kind of looked at it as a bully tactic. So I just, you know, asked if I wanted a representation. I tell them no. I know there's a similar case with Top Larko and Nathan Anderson, so I just said, well, you know, if that's in the Supreme Court, you know, that's where mine will probably end up. So, you know, here, it's been, you know, since the election's over, it's been dismissed. And the Attorney General dismissed it, saying there was no immediate action to be taken because of the election results, so. I think in the part it was, you know, I lost a lot of time. I was one word, you know, I know the election was you have to get out and campaign, but my focus was on the court. So I didn't get to attend hardly any forums except for one. And I didn't get to go out. I don't ask for sponsors or anything. I was doing the signs off my own funds, and, you know, I just didn't want to, you know, in case that could affect a lot of them, that I didn't feel like I should be spending my, you know, my time and my money on campaigning versus the court. So, you know, it took a toll on me, but, you know, I accepted it, and, you know, we had a national council meeting with the Attorney General and Floyd, and I know they was trying to pass a law to change where I would be taken out, you know, from that law, but, you know, National Council, you know, they postponed it, and, you know, I guess they were just trying to find any way for me to, you know, step away from that election. Well, it's been a few years ago. I went and visited a assistant secretary of the Department of Interior, and, you know, we sat and talked about it. We ran down with, you know, I attended it with my lawyer, but we, you know, he wanted a brief history with Kelechi and Creek Nation, and it goes back, and he pretty much saying it's a tribal issue. So, I mean, in other words, we need to sit down and talk and go over things, because no matter how anybody looking at it, one of us, or all four of us, gonna have to change our constitution to either separate or, you know, join together. Well, right now we're one. You know, just like ours, you have to be Creek to be Kelechi. So I mean, somebody, you know, it's going to take one of us to change our constitution to do that. I know it was brought up years ago. I think it wasn't enough numbers in Kelechi, and now we're up to almost 850, and it's really going to be up to the members' choice to decide if, you know, when it comes down to it, if you're going to be Kelechi or you're going to be Creek Nation. Since I'm no longer in the running, you know, so I've always been focused on Kelechi. It's just, you know, we tried economic development before, and it doesn't happen. We don't have the resources, and, you know, along with Creek Nation, I think long as I'm going to be stuck with Creek Nation politics, because, you know, no matter what, if whatever affects Creek Nation with them people, it affects us also. So, I mean, you know, I always try to sit down and talk to some councils, and, you know, I always try to sit down and talk to some chiefs to, you know, go over some issue, because basically right now their people is my people too. So, you know, I have to look at what's best for them. So, I mean, until my term is done with Miko or I'm done with politics, I just keep going as I'm going. I still respect Creek Nation as it is. I think it could have been a better way to handle it, versus going to court and having a big scene and, news media, even outside from here to cover it. And it just, even I told Tulsa World, you're just looking at it as Muskogee versus Muskogee. That's it. I mean, you're willing to do that, but, other stories you don't want to cover. And it just makes us like all we do is argue with each other. So I ain't gonna hold no grudges against it. And I told her within that meeting with the National Council, I told them it's really up to the people. So I would accept it regardless what happens. So I mean, like I said, it could have been handled better, more civilized with us, but it wasn't. So I mean, it's over with, and it's gonna continue going.
All right, and we want to thank Mr. Hobaya for coming in and affording us the opportunity to afford him the opportunity to get his side of the story out and basically speak on his case and some of the things that have unfolded. And we'll continue to monitor this on MuskogeeMedia.com and all of our outlets here for you citizens out there and the folks out there that are interested in that. Keep following us on all of those fronts. Well, next up, we have Principal Chief James Floyd, who requested to the National Council an assessment of the tribal courts here at Muskogee Creek Nation. Basically, the Bureau of Indian Affairs has a justice system or justice department, basically that looks over tribal courts. They come in, do an assessment. If there's a need in the tribal court, they can provide one-time funding. It's a program that a lot of tribes utilize, and I visited with Principal Chief James Floyd talking about this tribal court assessment request. A resolution passed by the Muskogee Creek National Council and signed by Principal Chief James Floyd on August 31st has authorized the Executive Office to formally request a tribal court assessment from the U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs Office of Justice Services. The resolution indicates that the assessment targets technical and training needs and to provide funding to areas of tribal court that need assistance.
The program is intended to be a very collaborative review. It looks at what we see at the present time, strategic planning in terms of what we want to do for the longer term, and then the identifiable support that we need. And so it does come with the access to funding that we sorely need.
According to the OJS website section on tribal court assessments, there are 5 steps involved in the process: document gathering, initial on-site meeting, multi-day on-site assessment, present findings and recommendations, and follow-up and next steps. The tribe is then eligible for possible one-time funding for qualifying needs that are identified by the assessment. For Floyd, his area of focus was on being able to attain available funds to equip the court with everything they need.
I know the court has identified to me minor needs they had, equipment needs, security needs, and things like that. And so they could use one-time funding to purchase these things and to assist the court, help ensure their safety for the staff and for the people who are in the courtroom. And so I think in that regard, it's very much in our interest to make sure that we have the review and we get the resources so that we can just assure everybody that our court system is safe and we have the latest equipment that we can to operate.
When asked if this assessment request was an indicator of any concerns his office has with the way that the tribal court is performing its duties, Floyd indicated that it was not his motive.
The Tribal Justice Program review is not related to any cases that have been in the court system recently or may be in the court system in the future. It's totally independent. The reason I wanted the authorization at this point is it allows me the authority to schedule with them at some point in the future. The program will not be extended over another year, and so if we hesitated too much longer, then we wouldn't have the ability to have them come out and do the review or have the access to the resources. So, that's the kind of the lane that I'm looking at in terms of this issue. And not seeing it as linked to anything that the court may be doing independent of this.
And thanks again to Principal Chief James Floyd for affording us the time to talk about the court assessment. And we'll have developments on that when we find out when and the results of that assessment as well. Moving right along, we talked in the opener about a very historic announcement out of the city of Tulsa, and that is the designation of Native American Day coming up this week. I believe it's October 9th. So we're excited about that. There's going to be a big program Monday out on the Guthrie Green from 9 to 2. So come out and join everybody out there, as there will be chiefs from the Osage, Cherokee, and Muskogee Creek Nation present. And there'll be all kinds of demonstrations, cultural presentations, things like that. So we're excited about that, but we were much more excited to be granted an exclusive sit down with the mayor of Tulsa, G.T. Bynum, and we discussed with him the Native American Day designation in the city of Tulsa, as well as a few other housekeeping items to ask him as it relates to Native American activities in his jurisdiction. So glad to be back here at City Hall in Tulsa with Mayor G.T. Bynum. Sir, thank you so much for having us today.
Thanks for coming by.
We wanted to talk to you, of course. The big news in Tulsa is changing Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day, and I know that you all are very excited about that. Can you take us a little bit through the process of how we got from idea to actual announcement?
Yeah, you know, right after I was elected mayor, I really made it a point to want to visit with the leadership of each of the three tribal governments that intersect here in Tulsa. And one of the things that came up repeatedly in those meetings that we had is that people felt like we ought to be recognizing Native Americans in a more specific way on Columbus Day in particular. And so after I came into office this past December, I thought it'd be, oh, okay, we'll take care of that right away. But as so often happens with government, nothing happens quickly. And it took a little longer than I was hoping, but worked with our Greater Tulsa Area Indian Affairs Commission, and they did a lot of work, a lot of research at what other cities around the country had done, and it ultimately developed a resolution that doesn't replace Columbus Day. That ended up being a fight in a lot of cities, a fight over a day, when the purpose of the exercise here is to recognize Native American heritage in our community. And so their recommendation was that rather than have that fight, let's just add Native American Day. And so that's what we ended up doing. And you know, to be honest with you, when I presented it to the city council and I told them the same thing, it amazes me that we're only doing this in 2017. There's probably few cities in America that have as much of a focal point around Native American heritage as Tulsa does, and yet it took us this long to get the day recognized. But I'm really excited now that we put it forward, the council approved it, I just signed it into effect on Monday, and so we'll have the first one here coming up in just a couple weeks.
Be nice if everybody was so unanimously on board with everything that came out.
Well, I was really proud of our city council. They all said this is a no-brainer and unanimously supported it. And so I'm excited to see not just this first one, but all the ones that we have moving forward, how we as a community can find ways to really better recognize our Native American heritage and celebrate it in Tulsa.
Yeah, I know. National Native news travels pretty fast, and some of the national headlines definitely picking it up here, what we're doing in Tulsa.
Good.
And I know you're probably excited about that, but what's been the initial feedback? Were you surprised by how excited a lot of people were, or how much news it made?
Well, the thing I've been most pleased with was to hear from a lot of people in our community, whether they're Native Americans or not, who said, thank you for doing this, that we should have done this a while ago. And it says a lot about our city that the elected leaders of our city unanimously say this is something we need to be recognizing, and did it. And I hope that other cities around the state and around the country will follow our lead on this.
We also, Creek Nation has a big event coming up here in the city of Tulsa having to do with the formation, the birth of Tulsa, really, with the Council Oak ceremony. Are you going to be able to join us out there this year?
I hope so. That is such a great, it literally is the birth of our city, recognizing that, so I hope I can be there.
The last thing I want to ask you, Mayor, is, and I know our viewers would like to hear just your perspective at all, but pretty historic case came up recently, ruling pending on jurisdictional boundaries, things like that, in our area. How much of an eye have you had on that?
Oh, I mean, it's of crucial importance for us just because we want to be following the law and carrying out criminal justice the way it should be carried out. And we need people to let us know if we've been doing that the right way all these years or if there's some other way we need to be doing it. But I'm not a lawyer. Don't pretend to be one. And so, yeah, I'm married to one.
Right,
but
that's right.
as of yesterday, well,
wonderful.
she got sworn in. We didn't get married.
Oh, congratulations to her on that.
Thank you. But no, I'm not a lawyer. We have a lot of people who are much smarter in the law than I am, and so I'm just going to let the courts do their work and see what comes out of that.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate the time, and it's a wonderful thing that we all have done here in the city of Tulsa to not only work together with the city here, but the other tribes as well in conjunction with your office. It's been a great thing, and I think this is a wonderful announcement.
Well, we are always looking for how can we as Tulsa lead, and what are the things, the traits that we have that set us apart from competitor cities. And one of the great advantages that we have is our relationship with the tribal nations that are here in Tulsa, and in particular the Muskogee Creek Nation, which represents the majority of our city. So I'm excited about this particular element, how we can work together and celebrate that heritage better moving forward. But there are so many other good things that we're going to be working on moving forward.
And we want to thank G.T. Bynum for that great interview there and for having us up to City Hall. Always nice to visit with Mayor Bynum, and we'll be looking forward to seeing all of you out on Monday for the big event. Well, our last story of this week takes us back to the homelands. Ocmulgee National Monument in Georgia was the site of a big celebration recently that was attended by lots of Muskogee Creek people, some dignitaries. I believe the principal chief was there. Also, our royalty, the ambassadors of this great tribe, the Muskogee Creek Nation, Miss Muskogee Creek Nation actually, and Miss Muskogee Creek Nation made her way to the Ocmulgee celebration and talked with us at Muskogee Media about just being back home in the homelands, getting to see people from back there, talk about present day Muskogee Creek Nation here in Oklahoma. So very neat trip for her, and to be able to talk with us about it and share it with you folks, just a great treat for us today.
We went down to Macon, Georgia, where the mounds are. So they have preserved some of the mounds that the Muskogean people, built all these years ago, and they were having what they call an Ocmulgee Indian celebration, and they really wanted Creek Nation to be a part of it because that, we can trace our roots back there. And so we, being me and our junior miss, went down there for the celebration along with Chief Floyd and a National Council representative of my dad, Daryl Proctor. So I had always wanted to go back. Like, my family and I have talked about it for years, about taking a trip down there, and it's just never worked out that we were able to go. So to be able to go down there for the first time as Miss was, that was the best experience I could have asked for. First off, it started at 10 o'clock, and we were on the program, I guess you would say, right off the bat. So, Chief, was introducing everybody, and then Junior Miss and I got to introduce ourselves. And to be able to do that to people who don't really know anything about Muskogee people, they're not even sure, who they were or where we were at now. A lot of people would ask, where are you from? Where are you from? And so to be able to start off the day being able to tell people who we are in our language and where we're from, that was one of the best parts, was just getting that. It was, it was just a few minutes, but just getting that few minutes of opportunity to share with them whatever we wanted to share. I actually was able to sing some Muskogee hymns too, so that was pretty awesome to share that part of myself, because I grew up in church, and that's where I first, started learning the language, was through the hymns. So to be able to share that with all the people that attended, that was probably my favorite part. And I was scared. I was really nervous. But afterwards, I just thought it was really special. And then I didn't, I realized it kind of after, after my nerves settled. I thought, well, that was really something to be able to do that. So that was my favorite part, was just being able to share that little bit of myself with the people that came out to learn. Yeah, it was an amazing experience. And when I came back to my family, I told them, I said, they know that I'm a homebody. I don't like to leave my home. And so when I was out in Georgia, I didn't get homesick. And so to me, that feeling of being home like manifested itself in the fact that I didn't get homesick. And I normally do, like I normally am ready to go home. And I told them, I said, I didn't want to leave. I said, it felt like, because I was home, essentially I was, even though, we're hundreds of years removed from there. That's where I come from. So that was really special to me because, like I said, I'm just so attached to where I am, where I live, and like never want to leave. And so to be able to go down there and just to have that feeling of being home, like that was something I didn't think I'd experience other than my actual home in Oklahoma. So it was a subtle emotional feeling, but it was the best feeling, just feeling like I belonged. It's just reiterated what I've known all along, our resiliency, our strength to be able to go back and see where we come from, and then to see how far we've come, and to be able to go on the Trail of Tears and to end up in a whole new place and to still survive, not only survive that, but to pick ourselves up and keep going on. That's just, like I said, just reiterated all that for me. It's just emphasized, like I said, our resilience and our strength. And it's, like I said, something I've known all along, but to be able to go back and to see where it all started, that's just, it was awesome.
Well, that'll wrap it up for another episode of Native News Today. We want to thank all of you out there for joining us this week. We hope that you've enjoyed the program. Lots of great stuff this week. Lots of people allowing us access and time. So we want to thank all those people that had us, had us as guests, that we could put them on the program. And also, we want to just take a little bit of time at the end of the program here to say that everyone here at Native News Today, Muskogee Media collectively, wants to send out our heartfelt condolences, our warmest thoughts, our prayers to the people in Las Vegas affected by the tragedy this past week. What an unbelievable tragedy that is, and as we've all seen it unfold on the news this week, and we will actually be talking, and we have already filmed an interview with our own Light Horse Police on Muskogee Creek Nation policy, what we do here in such instances. So this has affected everyone, and we just want to send our hearts out to all of them as we close the show this week. We'll see you all next time.